Hey, welcome to Movies Worth Talking About, where we talk and talk and talk about movies. I am John
Uh,
Carlos. And fuck you with your ass. What we do.
I said, yeah.
Oh, I thought you went, I'm like, then why are you here?
No, I was like, yeah. Like we talk and talk and talk, talk. Wow, this is already out of the gate.
And that's Eddie.
Eddie! There it is.
And we are here to talk about Grease 2,
Yeah.
a movie that I used to like ironically, and
Oh.
then used to like both ironically and unironically. And I think now I've reached the higher plane of just, there's no irony at all. I just love this fucking movie. I don't need to make a, there's no apologies, no irony, no laughing at it. Grease 2 is fucking cinema at its finest.
In a lot of ways, absolutely. I mean, I think my first discovery of it, I was young enough. I don't even remember how old, but it was my second Michelle Pfeiffer movie ever. And as you know, I am I consider myself a lifetime Michelle Pfeiffer stan. Yeah. Hardcore. My first was Lady Hawk when she was just Isabeau. I didn't even know the actress's name. I just thought she was Isabeau. She's a character in a movie. I think it was like 6 when I saw it, and I was just kind of like, oh, princess, I will love her. And then I rented this maybe a couple years later, and I just because it was Grease 2. I liked Grease, and I wanted to see the sequel. Didn't know there was a sequel. Saw in a video store a VHS tape with the little motorcycle logo with the banner with the 2 on it.
I love the like because the first one was a car and it fit in a car, and I'm like, oh, the next one's motorcycles.
Yeah, with the little 2 banner on the. I thought that was really inventive and cool, and it made me want to watch it. And then I watched it with my sister, and I remember we really liked it. I liked it so much that I watched it again before we returned it, like the next day or the day after. And then I put it on my list for whatever was next, my birthday or Christmas or whatever I wanted VHS tapes, as gifts for. And I got it, and I just watched the fuck out of it. But I remember while I was watching that first rental, my mom walked in, the way parents check in on you, like when you're watching something, just to make sure, especially if it's something new, like it's, not untoward or something.
Yes. Oh, I know.
And for some reason this was acceptable. It shouldn't have been, but it was acceptable.
No.
And I just remember her saying like, oh look, Michelle Pfeiffer. And I'm like, who? And she's just like, the blonde. And I was just like, that's Stephanie Zanoni. And she's like, that's Isabeau. And it blew my fucking mind because I didn't recognize her at all. I was just like, my beautiful, like short-haired, kind of like auburn, no makeup, princess during the Renaissance or whatever time, medieval times. I don't know when it takes place. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing this like blonde, tousled, kind of tomboyish, but also just super fucking cool, badass, like teenage girl who I would totally like follow anywhere and do anything like if she like, but I don't know, because I trust that she'd still take care of me. Anyway, I'm getting deep, but but it was just like, God damn. And then I think the next thing I heard about her, she was playing Catwoman in Batman Returns, and that sealed the deal. That was it. We're I'm a stan. I'm a card carrying
lifelong
stan.
for as long as I've known you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And what about you? What was your first experience with this movie?
I remember there was like a guy, because fun fact, you and I met because of Grease. But prior to that, because that was summer of 94, but somewhere in the earlier 90s, my mom has like a friend of the family that like they stayed with us for part of the year.
Okay.
And he was cool because he was foreign, and not just because he was foreign, he was like a cool, mysterious, like cool dude. Like he had the best taste in music. And like everyone at school thought he was so cool. It was so cool that like he lived with me, and he liked Grease. And the local, like, do you remember like just like the big Rite Aids and Thrifties had like a movie section? You could just go in and like buy Wayne's World or something.
Yeah.
They had Grease, and he's like, "Oh, Grease is cool." I'm like, "Is he?" He's like, "Yeah." So like, he bought Grease and I watched Grease. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then one day they had Grease 2 there. And I'm like, wait, there's a fucking Grease 2? I'm only like 10. He's like, yeah, it's not as good, but it's pretty good. Oh, but the box had like, they're on a motorcycle and like it had like that big like collage of like characters and dancing, and the color borders, and the movie didn't strike a huge chord with me, except I couldn't help from such a young age. And the more and more I talk about like my young movie going experiences, the more people tell me that like you were a critical little fucking kid. I'm like, I guess. Like I remember watching Ghostbusters 2 and being like, I'm being pandered to right now with Good Slimer. Like, why is he good all of a sudden? I don't appreciate
this. I understand completely.
Yeah. So I remember my only impression I got was like, these T-Birds are like the fucking Kmart brand T-Birds. Like, what is happening here? I disagree now. I would much rather watch a whole nother movie with these T-Birds than these pig ladies and these T-Birds.
Yeah,
it's not a fucking contest, but they're way better. Anyway, I saw the movie. I thought it was fine. I laughed so hard though at the first time I saw Reproduction, and Goose is going around the classroom like this, and the people are making the O's.
Yes,
inseminating. That singular viewing stayed with me. And throughout my whole life, I do this now. I think I might have even done it last month. If there's just like a crowd of people I'm trying to get through, I do this to like make my way through people. It's like a part of my physical vernacular. I don't know. I will always just do this, and no one knows what the hell I'm doing.
Oh my God. Have you ever met Christopher McDonald at any of your cons or anything like that? If you ever do, you have to tell him. You have to tell him.
Here, do the O, and then I'll.
Yes.
So that was the most lasting thing. Was just 30 fucking years of sperm swimming. But that singular viewing made me want to go out and get the cassette. So I had the soundtrack, and I knew the songs for like decades before I never got on VHS. I never rented it again. I don't think I ever saw it again until my 20s. But like I remembered it, and that soundtrack, I got it like on a road trip. So like. That was just like all I played over and over and over and over, not even fully understanding Reproduction because I was only like, 8 or 9. Yes.
Yep. This is what they used to look like, kids. These little books that you take the analog recording that you have to turn over halfway through like an LP. More of you probably know what records are than this, but
because records came back.
Records are still viable. I mean, this came back for a short while. Like, weren't these kind of like a kitschy fun thing like 10 years ago or something like that? They started releasing like,
I must have missed that,
audio cassettes again. But
video
like
cassette there's a huge video cassette collectors. That's a thing.
I've tried going back. Have you ever tried watching a VHS like in the last 5 years or anything like that? It's not worth it. It is. I sit there. Little sidebar, just like I was unpacking a lot of old VHS tapes, deciding like what I'm going to keep, because I can't get it anywhere else, and it's not even on YouTube and that kind of shit. And what am I going to get rid of, or what am I going to donate? Well, you can't donate anything because nobody watches VHS anymore. So what am I going to, get rid of? But I tried watching the ones that I saved, and I'm telling you, I'm like, how did we watch this? Like it's
I mean,
beyond pixelated. Like, it's so horrible.
But when like what the 360 or the 470 image quality of the TV that's all you knew? Yeah. And the video matches that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the more our home video formats can capture what
HD,
the film
4K,
presentation it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And even the aspect ratio, especially with this movie, the 235:1. I'm telling you, I got I'm just show and tell because I got
bring it up.
My steel book. Look how cute they are.
And I'll show you. This is
oh,
this one just has some Rydell crap on the back.
Oh yeah, no, I got a cool writer.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so about 4 years ago for
no
the
helmet.
40th.
No helmet.
I know.
Crazy. Anyway, yes.
I saw photos online of that. I went, right. No, about 4 years ago, they put out for the 40th anniversary of Grease, this Blu-ray set that has Grease 2, and Grease Live.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, I need that for Grease 2. I don't even give a fuck about the other 2 discs. I just need Grease 2 on Blu-ray. And you know what? My whole thing about sidebar myself, Grease was a movie that like I loved, and then I just saw way too much, and I was way too involved. I did too many productions on stage. I fucking hated Grease, and then I came back to like, Grease is fun. So I'm fine owning it. But I'm like, man, it's a Steelbook, and Grease 2 is in here. And then this year they're like, fuck you. How about a Steelbook just committed to Grease 2?
I knew it was coming. But do you have any special features on yours? Because mine does not.
It's the same disc. Just put it in a new case.
Okay, cool.
No.
I mean, not cool, because I'm, like a lot of people, thirsty for more material. But I did actually find on YouTube, anybody can watch this if you look for it, an evening that they did for the 35th anniversary of Grease 2, where they had a screening somewhere out here on the West Coast with Maureen Tiffy and I'm forgetting everybody's names now. Allison Price, Rhonda, Pamela Adlon was not there, Lorna Luft was not there, but Adrian Zmed was there, Christopher McDonald was there, Leaf Green was there, and
Caulfield?
Yeah, he was there, and the twins.
Yes, the fucking Doublemint twins.
Yes, and Patricia Birch, the choreographer and director, was there too, and she talked a lot. It was great.
Good. So I need to look that up, because I don't have any of that. I need the Scream Factory or Arrow. Somebody needs to make the fancy edition of this.
I know. But it was really cool, like watching it. I feel like there's so much to say. This is so, I mean, this is okay. I have to say, like, this is a movie that is basically like committed to memory for me. Like, I don't need to watch it anymore, but I do. I mean, ever since I bought, I just got the Steelbook like last week, and I've watched it twice already.
Oh, I watched it like 4 times in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, right.
Here's the thing. No, but ever since I bought it, I, prior to getting ready for this, I think I've watched it about 5 times in the last 4 years. It's not a movie that gets ignored in my And then I watched it once for fun recently, and then once again for notes, and then another time for fun, and then another time to make it fun. Because yes, while it is committed a lot in my brain, my eyeballs still enjoy seeing some things unfold. Like, memory isn't good enough to watch Score Tonight and see the people with their partner just like spinning like
dangerous.
You need to see that with your eyeballs. You don't just need to remember it.
No, dangerous choreography to really truly appreciate it. Also, one thing, the 235:1 aspect ratio that I really appreciate, because I realize what I do have memorized is the pan and scan VHS tape in my brain. So I still am like getting new information from the corners of the screen, or from like it panned over here, and then there's a whole other side of the screen that I never got exposure to, and that just made me appreciate so much more like the ensemble members who are living in their choreography.
We'll get to that.
Yes,
but you do bring up a good thing that like I remember in Ghostbusters, during the montage, like Casey Kasem and all that, you'd see them running down the street, and then like a magazine would swipe by. Yes. And then you see the theatrical version, and the magazine is on one side of the screen the whole time. And you're only seeing the, I still have Labyrinth in my head. I still remember the pan and scan beats for that.
Yeah,
like
me too.
There's a part during Dance Magic where Bowie's really close, and he's like going like this across the frame, and the pan and scan would track his face, and it looked like there's a weird motion happening, even though it looked like his face was centered. It was the worst, maybe the worst pan and scan crime committed.
Well,
was following a face, so you can't even understand. It was weird.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. But there's one that actually stands out to me every single time. I mean, well, it's been twice now that I've watched The Blue. But no. I mean, just with this movie, with Grease 2. We can do a whole pod on Spaceballs, but with this one, it's every time Maxwell Caulfield steps off the bus, I remember my VHS would do the crunch, where everything is like they take everything, all the information is still there, but they crunch it to fit like like the 133:1 aspect ratio. And So you can read all the names, but all of a sudden his head is like this thin and stretched like that.
Yeah.
And then Didi Khan runs in and she's just like, Michael, let's go, Frenchie, hi, you know, and whatever. And, and I can't not have that flip in my head yet when I see him walk out. I still see the crunch. It's weird. It haunts me. And I'm wondering if there's going to be a time when I can just kind of sit through this movie and just kind of not be like haunted by the horrible pan and scan crunch that.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, again, I spent my teens and 20s or my teens like not seeing it, so like,
oh, okay.
I don't have that burned into my brain.
Yeah, no, it was. I think it was a guilty pleasure with me early on. Once I started talking about it with like kids in the playground and stuff, and they didn't like it. You know, granted, it was you know, kind of cool not to like it in the 80s and in the 90s while I was growing up, but at the same time, the people who seem to have the strongest opinions about it like knew all the words to the songs.
Well, it's a
could
movie.
Quote it.
It's a movie that I feel like, and I don't know if this is just from rentals or cable, but even if people only saw it once, when I mention Grease 2, the first thing that comes out is, oh, Cool Rider. Or they half sing Cool Rider. Like everyone knows.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Pfeiffer, Cool Rider, Grease 2. Maybe Grease 2 sucks, but like, oh, it's a Cool Rider song. It leaves a mark.
It does. It
I mean,
does. And I don't suffer the guilt anymore, though.
Yeah.
I just experience the pleasure.
Fuck yeah.
But I think I moved into that relatively early, like at some point in my teens when I just gave up, when I was just kind of like, I'm never going to be cool. I'm not I'm not that person. So I'm not even going to pretend that, like, you know, I don't like the things I like. I'm just going to say I like them and just argue with people, you know, or whatever. And if they don't have an argument, well, then I can just walk away and I know, you know, at least I have a basis for why I feel the way I feel, and, you know, and they don't, which began, you know, conversations like this, you know, where we can really, like, you know, pick things apart and really kind of like take things seriously that, you know, like maybe aren't life altering in the grand scheme of things, but that affected us or that even occurred to us. Like if you saw a moment one way and I saw it a completely different way. I mean, I don't know. It just, it was another one of those movies that, because it was contentious, it was interesting to talk about also. Like I really, it's an interesting barometer for me. Like when I meet people who favor this movie and adore it versus people who just kind of dismiss it because it's dumb. And then other people who just don't have an opinion either way. They're just kind of like, yeah, I saw it. but it is one of those like, oh, now I know something about you movies when I find out how people, you know, really feel about it.
And I unfortunately mostly run into people who are just like, Grease 2.
Oh, hurts my soul. But
Yeah.
but I do agree with you also. Like I made a note here while I was doing my second watch. I just wrote, I like these Pink Ladies and T-Bird dynamics better than movie one. Like I feel like toxic masculinity among the T-Birds gets rewarded even less in this movie than it did in the first one. And it's not like there was a huge, I mean, the only reward in this movie, I think, for the toxic masculinity is they win the talent show by singing Prowlin, which is, you know, toxic masculinity incarnate. It's kind of like what's wrong with the world right now.
But it's also fucking stupid too.
and I fucking love it. It is probably one of my favorite songs out of the whole movie. Like I watched it before we recorded just now.
And I'm sure it has nothing to do with Adrian Zemed with his arms just like doing this, right?
Actually, I'm not really all that Adrian Zemed-y.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he's great. I think he's incredible. But I am a Peter Frechette guy. I mean,
which one is he?
Peter Frechette is Louis DiMucci.
DiMucci.
Let's do it for our country.
Dude, I fucking love DiMucci.
Me too.
My favorite one.
Yeah, I follow him on Instagram.
Oh,
yeah.
Can I tell you what I love about him?
What do you love about him?
It's hard, I think, not for all actors, but to create a genuine laugh when something. Nymphoid mania. But not only is it a goofy, great laugh, but it feels pure, which, you know, not every actor can pull off what feels pure. Not only that, but there's that part where they first start doing Prowlin.
Yes.
Not first, they start on the bikes, but then the next shot is they're not on the bikes and they're just doing a little dance, and he does this like Like he loves where he's at. He loves what he's doing. He loves who he's with, and just that happy. Oh, I need more people to do choreography. Go and just be in that moment, be in that pocket of joy. Oh, fucking love him.
Yeah, no, I always had a leaning toward DiMucci, like even on the old VHS tape days, because I remember when he would sing the song, I was just like, well, I'd fall for it. Like when they're in the the nucleoid fallout shelter, and it's horrible now, I guess, you know, like if you look at, you know, like the dynamics and like the way he's basically like trapping her and trying to con her into like having sex with him by making her think nucleoid war is happening out there, but it's still terrible. I still laugh. And I wonder if I would if I saw that movie for the first time today, but but something about his delivery and something about like I don't know, his legitimately beautiful voice and and my crush that I have on him still to this day.
I'm curious where he's from.
Yeah.
Because he and all the T-Birds have like a very East Coast sound to them. Like all of them is like, hey, how you doing? But then, so when he sings, he's still like, there's something at the door. Like it's all like very East Coasty. Yes. But then he always dips into this, which sounds very Southern California to me. Like, and it always, everything is here. It's always, let's do it. Like, I love the because it just dips right out.
Well, also, see, this is what I love about this movie is its connection with the first movie, because I feel like the first movie straddled East Coast and West Coast in many ways. And we could do a whole pod just talking about that. But what it carries over, I mean, like, you know, the fact that there are a lot of characters who are talking like this, but then there's also, you know, like the LA River, and there's, you know, palm trees in the background and shit like that, you know?
Because Rydell was filmed, at least in the first movie, like in LA, but I had to look this up. It's modeled after a school in Philadelphia. Or at least the inspiration for it, which to me, I'm not saying that Philly is populated by Italian people, but when you look at like Zamoni, Nagarelli, like there's a lot of DiMucci.
Because also it's been so long since I've done the show. I remember in the actual play Grease, the stage musical, wasn't Vince Fontaine on WAXX, or am I mixing that up with something else? Because I think W at the beginning of anything, because out here on the West Coast, everything is K, and everything on the East Coast was W. So that made me think, like, from the get-go, Grease's roots were supposed to be in, you know, firmly rooted in the East Coast. And I feel like there's more holdovers beyond even the T-Birds. I've seen it hundreds of thousands of times, but this was the first time I heard Michelle Pfeiffer dip into one at her time, where she's just kind of like, so dump the face and keep the nose. And she never talks like that again. The next moment she's with Michael Carrington, or she's telling Johnny, you know, Johnny, it's over. Or she's going over to Michael Carrington, hey, don't let these guys bug you, okay?
No, she dips into it again, but so much later. It's when when they're at their little burger date, not date, but like he's helping her with her Hamlet report.
Right.
And also, for some reason, she's not a dummy that whole movie, but then for the third act, they start playing up the idea that she's kind of stupid.
Well, she says, I'm not usually this bad at English. I've just got other things on my mind lately. So so it's not that she's a dummy.
But he like grammar corrects her when they're kissing at the end. Like there's a lot of like humor about her being like not the smartest. That comes out of nowhere. But in that diner scene, you know, it comes out a little bit.
Like, I'm trying to think about them, like, because I love that is one of my favorite exchanges in the entire movie. Like, actually,
that whole scene.
My friend Bonnie, who we've been friends since like right after I met you. Like, I met you when I was 14 and I met her when I was 16. And this movie was another huge bond for us. But we used to just play out that scene, you know, no catch up, like randomly, like one line would come up and then we'd just do the rest of the scene. and I think one of my favorite, like, there's so many lines. Also, it's just Michelle's delivery, just sitting there just going like, I mean, don't you think that's kind of weird? I mean, not like weird, but like exciting weird. And of course, just
actually, I think you're
Yes.
pretty terrific. Go on.
Get
You're the terrific
outta
one. You know
here.
all this smart stuff. Like,
all this deep junk and everything. Yeah. But what I love on the other side of it with her and all of this incredible, I don't even know what she's doing. It's whatever it is, it's just attractive as fuck. Like it just attracts my eye. But the fact that he's sitting there, and I love the fact that like anytime I do a Michael Carrington impression, I'm basically just kind of talking breathy through my lips like this, you know, just going like, she was just like, well, what if he's just some kind of underneath these goggles, he's just some kind of like regular guy. What if he isn't? Hey, you know?
or should I say, nah?
That's the other thing, is that this movie is endlessly like quotable and imitable. Like
yes. Well, and I'm glad you mentioned the breathy thing. He puts it to such good use, and even if it feels calculated in a way that I don't like when others, I won't name names, but there's certain actors I like that I feel like I'm trying really hard to be sexy right now. And I'm like, I could feel you trying, but you know, he's asking her if she's free to get a burger. What about the day? You know, what about tomorrow? And she forgets the book, and she comes back because he's holding the book and goes, what about the day after tomorrow? Yes. Like, if I had panties, sploosh, you know?
That's one of the lines I would do for Bonnie. How about the day after tomorrow? She just, Stephanie, look, when are you going to get the picture? And then, oh my God, okay, there's too much to talk about, but okay, can we also talk about like, okay, I mentioned that she's cool in this movie, but she is so, I think that's the thing. I think that's the whole crux of the social problem in the movie. not problem in terms of something they needed to fix, but I mean just like the conflicts, because and I got it actually, this is all going to tie together. I got it actually because I was watching in 2:35:1 aspect ratio, and one of the things I noticed that I had never seen before, because I never got to see Michelle Pfeiffer in this one shot. It's right before, it's at the end of Back to School, and everybody's all, you know, walking into the school. And then the T-Birds are like among the last to go in. And they're doing that thing where they're all kind of almost in profile, like diagonal profile.
Yeah.
And they're doing the hair and, you know, snapping the fingers, and they're like, we're so cool. And growing up, all I ever saw was like the frame on the T-Birds. In the corner of the screen, you see the pink lady standing there, and there's Michelle Pfeiffer watching Johnny coif his hair and act like a badass and everything like that. And she's almost rolling her eyes. She looks away and like almost starts to say something like she just couldn't care less. She doesn't buy into the propaganda because she knows Johnny and she knows them. She knows they're the clowns. We know they are.
Yeah.
And that's why I've heard other people ask in the past when discussing this movie, she had a cool writer. And I'm like, no, she didn't. No. Johnny's not Mr. Cool.
Listen to what she's describing lyrically. Yes. That's not Johnny.
That is not Johnny Nagarelli.
And watch the movie. Those guys are, I want to say goons, but that's too ghoulish, but they're goofballs.
They're the Marx Brothers.
They're not fucking cool. They're masquerading, and it's hilarious.
Yes, yeah, and I totally prefer it. I mean, there was more of, but see that creates such a more interesting dynamic for me, because in the first movie I felt like Danny and Kinnicky, yeah, they were, you know, kind of like posturing and whatever, and we get that wonderful moment where Kinnicky asks Danny to like be his second at Thunder Road, and they both start kind of smacking each other and laughing and have that wonderful. And then they go back to, yeah, so I'll pick you up, because they're the cool ones, and obviously the three other guys are the clowns.
Roger and Duty are the funny ones. Yeah,
exactly. I love the fact that we walk into a scenario where there are 4 T-Birds. They are all clowns. And only one is probably really the best at posturing that he is not a clown, but you know, you all Balmuto has to do is go and he throws his comb up in the air and runs back in the bowling alley. I mean, this is not a brave man. This is not a guy you want to follow, you know, at Thunder Road or anything like that. So I love the fact that Stephanie sees it, and I love the fact that kind of by the end of the movie, when and I'm jumping all over the place, but when Michael gets his jacket, you know, Fustadas, let's see how it looks. And he gets to be a T-Bird for all of like the next, week that they're all going to be in school, I guess. But he, in essence, at least for that last week, I feel like Michael's presence in the T-Birds legitimizes them in a way that kind of the T-Birds of the first movie were established as already kind of quasi-legitimate, but I like watching them kind of earn it. And I like watching that friendship that they allude to between Danny and Kinnicky and the Thunder Road thing, watching it almost kind of form between Nagarelli and Michael Carrington. I don't know. I got that this time, and I had never really gotten that before.
I like the nickname, which is what supposed to be kind of insulting, like "Hey Shakespeare." At the end becomes like "Hey Shakespeare." Like,
yeah,
it's just two different intentions, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, totally.
I'm glad you mentioned Michelle Pfeiffer just being so cool, and because in many of our podcasts,
yes,
no judgment at all, but like if there is a handsome man,
yeah,
you will gush about whether he is handsome or not,
sure,
or whether you would hit it or whatever, you know.
Okay.
I haven't had that opportunity to do that in any of our podcasts. I just don't. But I'll take a minute here because it's not as formative, but like Michelle Pfeiffer has a body of work, right? And if you try to describe her as being attractive, you know, besides just being talented, red dress on a piano comes to mind. A vinyl catsuit comes to mind for some people. But to me, Back to School, when after the collar pops, and then it's the shot of the four of them, and she's digging into her shoulders and chomping on her fucking gum and just dropping her. I don't even know if she has gum. She might just be dropping her jaw, but
yeah,
that is sexy as fuck.
Shimmying.
And I know that there are things that maybe are probably considered sexier, but that confidence, those fucking sunglasses, and just the shoulders she's giving, it's like the fucking hottest thing, man.
Okay. So it's amazing. I totally get like idealized. I mean, I get it in a different way, but it's like, for me, it's almost like idealized big sister vibes. Like, that's who I want to be when I grow up. You know, like if you want to grow up and be Stephanie Zanoni, which I imagine most people who watch and love this movie do. Most people who just watch it probably don't. But no, I mean, she's the coolest person in the movie, and I like the fact that like she kind of manifests this this idealized. I mean, granted, I know the love story is crap, but we're not here. Nobody wants to turn to a Grease movie to watch like a well-formed and crafted, you know, like, oh, the levels of their, you know, I mean, it's high school shit, you know, like who knows why we're attracted to what we're attracted to or whom we're attracted to when we're in high school, but we are. I am ashamed of some of the guys I was attracted to when I was in high school. And if I had, you know, the presence of mind to like be out and to actually feel like a dimensionalized person, I might not have been attracted to some of the toxic, you know, situations that I was. But anyway, I always go deep personal with this shit, but anyway, but
it's Grease 2, Eddie, come on.
Exactly. That's why when I watch Grease 2, I don't need them to like justify like why they're in love. It's enough for me, especially with these two, even more so than John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, with these who had a completely different dynamic too.
Totally.
Yeah, but
it's so dismissive. People go, oh well, you know, this time he's the straight-laced one and she's. I'm like, no, but the personalities and just it's so different.
Yeah, and
you're only looking at the aesthetic surface level.
Yeah, but even the fact that like the first time he meets her, when she just asks him like, you all right, you know, and she's like pulling her pant legs up underneath her skirt and everything like that, because then, okay, I used to think, hold on, so much to talk about. I used to think that she was being made fun of, and maybe it's because I couldn't see the nerdy girl like in the pan and scan or whatever. But I used to think somebody says like, ooh, nice pants. Like they were making fun of her, like they were being mean. And she was like, oh shit, I'm gonna get shit for wearing these pants. Why did okay, I got a skirt that looks worse. But it doesn't match as well, but whatever. I'm gonna pull a skirt, I'm gonna pull my pant legs up and nobody's gonna be the wiser. Maybe nobody saw me come to school today when I was, you know, but I noticed this time, I think it's just the fact that it's the nerdy girl, like kind of the Eugene the Eugenia. I don't know what her character name is, but you know, the one with the braids and the
Yeah.
glasses who put your pollen tube to work. Little Minnie Mouse laugh.
Yeah.
She's the one who walks past Stephanie, and it seems like she legitimately likes the pants and is like, oh, nice pants, and then just goes on about her day. And Stephanie's like, fuck, the nerdy girl likes my pants. They must suck. I better go change into a skirt like stat.
I'd like to tell you my read on it.
Oh, what's your read? Awesome.
The impression I got was that, because if you look at that opening scene and everyone in the hallways, all the women are wearing skirts. 1961.
Oh.
Maybe you can wear pants on the weekends, but when you're at school, like, boys wear pants. Why are you wearing pants? So she goes like, oh, like this skirt. And she's like, shit, I forgot I'm at school. And she has to hide her pants.
Oh my God.
That's
because she's working at her old man's service station.
Yeah.
But
it's not like quite a school uniform, but it's still like early 60s and there's certain standards.
Yeah,
and
certain sensibilities and everything like that. And even though during Cool Rider, she's got her pants on. Oh God. I can't ever say enough about Michelle Pfeiffer. I just can't.
I know.
So I'm not even going to try. I'm just, it'll come up when it comes up. But if I try to like somehow capture it, people know already. You know, it's not like I have to sell people on loving Michelle Pfeiffer. So.
But you know what? Let's just stay on Michelle Pfeiffer for a bit. Because, and since we're talking about Cool Rider, I know you can't say enough, but I just will say, first of all, I forget how long ago I noticed, but you know, after the first part with Cool Rider, where she's singing it to Michael, and then she leaves. By the way, she like leaves and shoots him this look in a fucking red light. It's fucking awesome. Yeah. But then she goes and she keeps singing because it's her I Want song. Yes. She goes to the ladder. Right before she goes onto the ladder, she does the big up eye roll with the little tongue flick. And it's Catwoman, like a decade before Catwoman. When Catwoman's doing the whip, you know?
Yeah.
With the department store mannequins. It just, I don't know. I get triggered in a really, really good way when Michelle Pfeiffer pops her eyes and flicks her tongue out.
I know, and I'm unfortunately I'm too old now to climb a ladder and do that now because to
ride it, and to like straddle, and they cut away, but you know she's still straddling. For a few extra bucks. Is
pumping like slow-mo. I mean, PG-13 pumping, but still pumping that they had to crop out. Yeah.
Yes, in the animal kingdom, that's called presenting.
Yes. That's what she's doing. That's what she says. The lyrics say just that much. I want a whole lot more than the boating store. I want hello is give me his I'm just with a man going out of the seat and move aside because I'm gonna ride with a cool rider, cool enough he can burn me through and through. Whoa. I mean, the lyrics are just basically Romeo, wherefore I thought Romeo. Oh, Romeo, you know, just like
but, I do have to address one of the things that I quite like about the song that because the director of the movie not only choreographed it, but choreographed Grease the movie. Also choreographed Grease the fucking Broadway show. And before I even knew that, it felt like a movie that was directed by a dancer or choreographer.
Totally.
And sometimes one of the greatest tricks in a director's disposal or at their disposal, just a nice wide shot of the full person's body dancing and not cutting away. Sometimes that's all you need. So the fact that towards the end of that song, she actually like takes a beat and then runs into her dance, like she like knows I'm about to dance, but it's not amazing choreography. It's fucking like kickball change. And fucking this. You know, the knees doing and
just hands, just kind of limp.
And I've always been a firm believer that yes, great dancers doing amazing choreography can be great too. But
of course,
really basic shit done with the right energy can be so entertaining.
Be shaken.
Yeah. And this movie is full of like not amazing choreography, but a really talented ensemble that when you put 40 of them on screen and they're all just doing fucking kickball change, it's great. It's fucking great. So I love her little moment at the end of that song.
Oh, there's few things I love more than watching her just live in her. Because again, you know what I love about that moment is that it feels like the kind of dancing that like you do like in your bedroom when you're alone and no one is watching and you can just live. And that's another thing is that I'm going to gush about Michelle Pfeiffer a little bit more, because one of the things I adore about her, that I adore about her body of work as Michelle Pfeiffer, is that like I always feel her elevating material, and the fact that she did it as early in her career as she was with this part, I just feel like she didn't have her tongue in her cheek while she was doing it, like maybe literally, but not figuratively, you know, like she wasn't winking at us, like letting us know she was in on the joke. She is legitimately, I'm Stephanie Zanoni. This is the time in my life that I'm living, and these are the problems that I have, and this is what I want, you know, out of life. This is what I'm sick of, and this is what I'm ready for, kind of thing. And the fact that like even watching her do her choreography and sing about Cool Rider, like some of those lyrics, I can imagine if Cool Rider were not like the legend that it now is, you know, like this that has achieved cult status, and like you said, everybody can go Cool Rider, cool Rider. Step ball change.
I need a COOLRIDER.
Exactly. But before that moves into, you know, kind of like the ether, as it were, I can imagine seeing those lyrics on paper and learning these, you know, these funky dance moves and going like, oh my God, you know, but she just threw herself into it.
Exactly.
Wholeheartedly.
Which is why if you put the camera on her in a wide and let her do it, like she fucking does it.
Yes. And that's what I adore. And that's one of the things she talked about. I saw her in an interview discussing the audition process for this movie. And she said she went to just like a random, I don't know if it was an open call, but it was a relatively like large call. Like it drew a lot of talent, and they had all these girls sing, but they also had them dance like in a chorus line where there's like rows and rows and rows of them. And then they have like the front row do it first, and then they peel off. Second row steps up and does it again. And she started off kind of in the middle because she wanted to get lost in the sea of dancers, because she was not a dancer and she was not a singer. She loved to sing and dance, but you know, in her bedroom. And she said they kept nearing her, she kept bumping back, you know, like line after line after line, because she just didn't want to do it. And then finally they got to the last line, and it was just her. so she had to do it on her own. And she still, to this day, she says she has no idea why she got cast. We do, but there's only one Michelle Pfeiffer, but she says whatever I did, they obviously liked what I did, and then I got the part, you know, and it was like my first, you know, like front and center, like lead in a feature, and that was really exciting. But just to hear her reluctance and her embarrassment, because the only reason she wasn't like coveting this role either, her agents just told her like, you know, just go, it'll be good for you. And she did, and she got the part, and it was all a fluke. And and then she just invested from then on. That's what I love about that story. But I feel like everybody invests so much. That's another thing I love about this. That you mentioned Patricia Birch with the original Grease on stage and the movie. And those were both like perfect storms of like talent meeting character, you know. And I feel like this movie is no exception. I feel like every one of these people should have been playing these roles, regardless of the fact that they're not teenagers, you know. Like, you want a movie with like 20 and 30-year-olds, you know, playing teenagers, you can't do better than this.
I don't bump into it with Grease 2 the way I bump into it with Grease 1, because I feel like people in Grease 1 are in their fucking 30s, and I don't feel like anyone's in their 30s in this movie.
Probably not their 30s. Yeah, probably 20s.
Yeah. Like Stockard Channing should be playing someone's mom in Grease. And I love her. That's not an insult. She's just not a fucking teenager, and I'm not exaggerating. She's not.
Oh my God.
There's one last thing about Cool Rider I have to say.
Yeah.
Because it's one of my favorite moments in film. Period. All of film. I remember this even as a child. It's one of the lasting things, is the fact that you know, that in recordings of songs, there's two ways you end a song. Yeah. There's the end of the song, or there's the fade out, you know.
Right.
And they just kind of keep going. Last train to Clarksville.
Yes.
And we just sort of fade out. Musicals, though, are usually people in a moment singing. So the fade out doesn't happen. But for some fucking reason, Cool Writer has a fade out. So what they do is they have fucking Stephanie just keep dancing to herself and singing to herself. R-I-D-E-R. And she's doing this further away. And the camera stays there. And as the music goes out, she's traveling further away from the fucking camera as if she is the source, and that's why it's fading out. It's fucking brilliant. Well, she's like this.
Yes. No, and Michael's like looking on, just watching her just kind of like cross the horizon, and then DiMucci moves in and Lewis starts talking to him and he wants papers for cash and everything like that, and they have a whole exchange, but Michael's still like kind of lost in Stephanie. What I love, again, I don't remember this in my pan and scan, getting so much DiMucci, because after they kind of like seal the deal and and make their pact and everything, because I got a rep to protect, dig it? And then Michael just looks back at her, and DiMucci looks on at her too, and does kind of like there's Stephanie doing her dance again. Yeah.
Taking the song with her as she fucking leaves,
like she does. We've all heard her. So you finally heard Cool Rider, huh? That would have been a great final.
She's always going on about this fucking
thing. Yeah. So she finally sang it for you, huh? Great song. Look at her. She sure can dance. Something like that would have been great.
You tried to ask her out, right? You got the song.
Yeah, right. We all get the song. Oh my god. But while we're laughing, one of the people who made me laugh the most this particular screening, just because I think I always soaked it up, but I was never really cognizant of it, Christopher McDonald's performance as Goose. I think he gets my MVP just in terms of support on screen, because his eye is always where it needs to be. And this was his first movie. This is how he got his SAG card.
Holy shit.
I know. And oh my God. Okay. Oh, did you know he did not audition for Goose initially? He coveted the role so badly, wanted to be Johnny Nagarelli, and auditioned 5 times for it. And after the 5th audition or callback, he knew he didn't have it. He knew the Irish Catholic would never, the way he put it, the Irish Catholic would never wash off his face. And they needed a Nagarelli, Yeah. And so he went home because he wanted the job so bad. He wanted to be in movies and everything. And he was heartbroken. He was crestfallen because he thought he lost it and it's all over and he'll never work in this industry. And then he got a call, I think it was from Pat Birch, and she just basically said, so you're not going to be Nagarelli, but we'd in fact like you to come and play Goose if you would do that for us. And he was just like, of course, like through tears, like as he's stress eating and everything, going, yes, I'll be ready tomorrow, and I think you can feel that enthusiasm in it. But I think just like, again, like even then to just see all of his takes with the cigarette thing, where Johnny has to like put the cigarette in his mouth. I couldn't take my eyes off Christopher McDonald and just his like, oh, Miss McGee, it's just, or whatever his reaction is, it is so locked into what is happening in the scene. And it draws the eye, which I love, but it's also selfless. He's not chewing the scenery. He's not trying to draw your eye. He is trying to just kind of uplift the reality of whatever the situation is on screen. And it fucking, applause for me.
He's also one of the MVPs for me. Mostly because to me, he feels performative in a very theater kind of way.
Yeah.
Because there is something about, especially, I hate to say this, like youth theater and children's theater, high school theater, where like, hey, things are very performative and like, we're going to say this and blah, blah, blah. And everyone's trying to get their little moment.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's trying to steal them, but what I'm saying is that, and this isn't a bad thing, it feels like Goose is performative.
Yeah.
Not him as an actor. because that's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
Because everything he says is exaggerated, but it feels like that's what he does. And that's like, and I had just had to write down because, first of all, nothing about this, like, if you told me that you didn't know that this was also Shooter McGavin, like, I wouldn't blame you because this is nothing like anything else he's ever done.
Right.
He's never done a movie where he sounds like this and like,
No.
hey, you know, and he has to like lean in and pop his eyes and
Yeah, right.
like, he's a fucking Muppet in this movie.
He is.
Oh, I love it. Like, all the line is yeah, what's the story? Yeah, what's the story?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
It's
the
all
nerd,
like,
the story, Stephanie.
what's look, the nerd invaded our sacred turf.
Yeah,
Like,
right. So she take his brains over your brawn?
Yeah. Which spells us. Like,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
But oh my god. Also, on the tails of him, like, I love Allison Price as Rhonda, his counterpart in the Pink Ladies, because I didn't realize how often she was uplifting things, just like how many little things just stay with me, like with just like the beginning of like shoot the ball, shoot the ball, shoot the ball. She's got her little ooh, you know, like nobody else is doing anything else in frame. She is the only one, and that's why it's in the movie. And then later,
who says ooh kissies? Is it her?
That's her. That's her. Yeah. And then I think my favorite is just like, now come in, be sure to come in on the ahs. Because she's sick of being a tree. Because again, this is like barely on paper, this is barely a character. We know she wants a nose job, and we know she's sick of being a tree, and that is it.
Yeah, she is, of the 4 Pink Ladies, or 5 if you count their mascot.
Yes.
Of the 4, she's the one that's like barely on paper.
Yeah. But oh god, even just like her delish when she's got her nose done, and Lauren Alof there with her but
well,
yeah,
in fact, if there's one, she gets the, I don't know if short shrift is the right expression, but it feels like there's, and one of, you know, apparently a lot of Grease 2 trivia. I've kind of avoided Grease 2 trivia my whole life because I kind of like keeping the mystique a bit, but I do know a few things, like they went into production with without a fully completed script.
Yeah.
Which explains why it feels, because there's a lot of like what feels like screenwriting 101 where you set something up and then it gets paid off later. So you start her introduction with her talking about her nose, and then like, hey, what's with the Vince Fontaine? And she wants to be on American Bandstand. And if you're seeing this movie for the first time, you already go, oh, so her arc is that in Act 3 she's going to be on American Bandstand, or she's going to try to get on it,
or she's going to meet Vince Fontaine, or
fucking nothing.
She gets to be a tree. That is the last thing she does. she gets,
but she gets all the intro of a character that's going to have a thing, and then yoink, her plot disappears just the way fucking Didi Khan does from this movie.
Right. Well, because that's okay. That was one thing I wanted to ask you about, because Didi Khan in particular. I mean, okay, we'll get to the rest of them, but just Didi Khan first, because there are some other holdovers from the first movie. But Didi Khan, because she's introduced as kind of like a gimmick for, like a device for Michael, like she's almost kind of like a home base. And I like the instant kind of safety we feel seeing her meet Michael that early when he gets to the school, because it's just kind of like, oh, okay. Even though I don't like Frenchie. I think she's.
But he's a little lost lamb. He's a stranger in a strange land.
I know. But I mean, like in the first movie, like everybody always thinks like, oh, Frenchie's so sweet and she's so nice. I think Didi Khan has an innate sweetness that reads effortlessly on screen, and I think Frenchie can be kind of a flake and kind of like a really bad friend, actually. But because she's full on making fun of Sandy with all of the other girls when they're doing "Look at Me, I'm Sandra D," and that never gets addressed anyway. So Frenchie, but I still see Didi Khan walk up and go, "Michael, hi," you know, and Michael, you know, like just calling him. I'm like, oh, he's got, oh, his friend. She's not gonna judge him. She's gonna be a safe place for him. But I feel like her casting must have been an afterthought, because again, she's barely a character, even though she's very established. And Didi Khan, like everything I said, you know, like on screen, you immediately get a vibe and it works. And it works in the scenes she's in, but she doesn't otherwise she doesn't really have a function as far as the story is concerned, and she really drops out. I don't think she even gets to go to the luau, but
No, I mean,
she's nowhere to be
she's
seen.
not the luau, but she's not in the back half of the movie.
Yeah, she's
Well,
and
that's one of the
she's,
few bits of trivia I do know is that like she says they went into production without a full script, and midway through
Yeah.
filming, some producer someone realized, oh, we don't really need you anymore. Well, what about the just we don't need you. Like we don't have any more scenes for you. We're just gonna be done.
because she still wears her pink lady jacket, and she, even when she sees them when they're coming having a facial and all that stuff, she's like, hiya girls, you know, like, oh, we're all friends, we're all pink ladies, we're all, you know, even though like their vibe and hers are completely like, they couldn't be more similar.
I'll admit it feels a little bit shoehorned.
Yeah. But
and I do know that they did film another scene that's not in the final cut, where you actually see her teaching him how to like ride the bike and come up with the persona of the cool rider. Like you need an artificial identity.
Yeah.
Because it just goes from him riding a motorcycle, and then you piece together yourself like, oh, he puts on a helmet, he's mystery man. But it's her idea to be a mystery man.
Oh my God, it would have been so cool to see her being the only one who knows what's really going on during Cool Rider. I mean, doing Who's That Guy? Not Cool Rider, right. During his, for everybody to be like, and for her to just be kind of like, you know, or like, oh my gosh, you know, like whatever she's gonna do. Like that would have been really cute. And again, she has a place in this movie, but yeah, but barely. And I know that they were at all times, the producers were kind of at odds with what it should be like, because initially the original way Grease 2 was pitched was it was going to be something with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John starring in it
at a gas station.
Yeah, no.
Well, first there was Summer School.
Right.
Then Summer School didn't happen, and they had like this concept where like they work at a gas station. They were right.
Yeah. And then they weren't something, and it sounds like I didn't see John Travolta speak on it, but I saw Olivia Newton-John talk about it, and she's like, your guess is as good as mine. Like my agents were talking to me, and they were in talks with Paramount, and they were talking about money and everything like that, and clearing my schedule. And then all of a sudden it was off the table, and they didn't talk to me about it anymore. And I had other things going on, so I didn't ask. And then the movie came out, and I was like, oh well. But yeah, because towards somewhere late in the game, they wanted there to just be at the finale a re-entry of Danny and Sandy working in the gas station, and kind of like, as I guess Stephanie and Michael are like riding away together, they stop to gas up, and they stop at Danny and Sandy's, and it's like, oh, the meeting of the couples and the grease of it all, like how nostalgic. And then after a certain point, maybe the money they would have needed to get John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John in for like a day of shooting, maybe it just wasn't worth it at the end.
Yeah, because I know the budget for this was double the first movie, and that's with a bunch of nobodies in it, you know.
Yeah. Oh, and I remember I read in Tab Hunter's autobiography, who we haven't talked about yet.
Well, we'll get to fucking that.
Yeah. I know, fucking Tab Hunter, but like, hello, Mr. Stewart, and I do have a question for you about one specific moment too, but. But I read in his autobiography that like he was shooting this around the same time that he was shooting Polyester.
Yeah.
And
they're like 1 year apart of release. So
and they couldn't, and this one obviously, I think this one got released after Polyester, but it couldn't have it couldn't have been more dissimilar, like kind of like more like mirror image situations, because Polyester was the one he was really excited about and really wanted to do, and his agents would not let him because they were afraid, you know, John Waters is gay and Divine is gay, and if they see you kissing a gay man, then everyone's going to think you're gay and everything. It's just like, I don't care. Because I am gay, and I know that people can't know that, but you know, if this is the only way I can kind of do that and be in a movie, like I think this could actually kind of like re-spark my career, do something cool, something that people aren't expecting me. And plus I get to make fun of the whole matinee idol thing. Anyway, so he wanted to do that. They didn't want him, but they were pushing so hard. He did not want to do Grease 2. He didn't understand. He's like, it's a non-role. There's barely a script. Like, no, there's no point. Like, what's the point? Why? I don't get the joke. And they were just like, come on, it's going to be the sequel to the biggest musical in the last decade, man. You got to do it. And he's just like, all right, fine. If I can do Polyester. And that's how he got to do yeah. And I love having him in both. And I love hearing him sing in Reproduction with his same situation, but
Stigma.
yeah. And all of his just like little reactions and stuff, the way he's falling asleep at the talent show and just like little things. But again, like Mr. Stewart just kind of falls away. Like, oh well, I guess he and Ms. Mason kind of get it on at the luau.
See, it's not just Rhonda. I wrote down that like there's a lot.
Yes.
Because they set up Miss Mason, they set up Mr. Stewart, Rhonda, who else? The twins appear like quite a bit as these sort of recurring characters. Not like they have an arc, but like it really feels like when you get to like the final third of the movie, like Sid Caesar doesn't show up for any jokes. The fucking Miss Mason and Mr. Stewart are just gone. Like every little sort of thing that we peppered in, it just becomes about like our principal leads. Yeah. And then at the luau, they're like, oh yeah, well here's a coy little beat where like we imply that they're about to, have a little snog behind the thing. Right. So they show up. We like put a little bow on them. But
a very little bow.
Tiniest of bows.
They got the same bow that Mr. Spears got. Like Mr. Spears gets introduced on the first day of school, has a nervous breakdown again, and then comes back at the luau. And for the first time ever, I noticed this. Mr. Spears is like walking with Miss McGee, and then he walks into the pool, and then his butt behind is like rising up out of the water. Mr. Spears, oh, how horrible. And I love doing impressions of Eve Arden, but anyway, because she's almost English. Like her voice is in that register where just kind of like, now hear this, no more. Nogorelli, it's almost English, but she's not. Do you smell something burning? Anyway, I love her.
Yeah, she sounds like Mrs. Weasley.
Eve Arden Stan. But anyway, so he's doing that. He's in the water, and I never realized like immediately after that is when Balmuto and the Scorpions all show up on their bikes and terrorize the whole place. And then out comes Michael, and he's the cool rider thing, and he defeats the like whatever happens, they fall in the pool basically. And then Michael takes his goggles off and everybody can see that it's Michael, and all the teachers, like there's Miss Mason, there's Mr. Stewart, and they're all like, Michael, and they all go toward him. Now Mr. Spears is fully dry out of the pool and just standing there sinking to the floor smiling like
I never put that together. I mean, I know he falls and sinks to the ground. It didn't occur to me that he's dry. Continuity error.
I know, Ray. I noticed it for the first time. But anyway, so that's a little thing.
I'm glad you brought up the fight at the pool. I forget the bad guy's name. They call him Craterface, so I call him Craterface.
Balmuto.
Again, Balmuto. Yeah. Such an East Coast school.
Right.
I have a little pet peeve in movies that I've never understood, where anytime anyone falls into water, they're like defeated. Like the bully gets pushed into the pool, and I'm like, well, just get out of the pool. And
he doesn't know how to swim, I guess.
And it's so old. You see it so much. Anytime I see someone fall into the water, as if they're either being defeated or as how it's so embarrassing, I always imagine like my grandma laughing, like he's in the water. That's not where you're supposed to be. Like, oh, grandma, because it's such like an old timey sort of.
Yes.
What a pickle! What a predicament!
Oh no, my Sunday finest.
Exactly. Whereas in truth, if you push me into like a fountain, I would just get out of the fountain,
right, and go find some dry clothes. Yeah.
Grease 2, though, I think is the extra worst / best version of that, because there's a gang of bikers.
Yeah.
Michael leads them out. Then he comes right back in. And also Stephanie goes, he's alive. Like, well, yeah, he was alive. You just saw him fucking 5 seconds ago, but whatever. Like that's when you first see him is when you go, oh, he's alive. Unless you thought they would all kill him as he drove away.
I don't,
He drives back in, jumps the pool, and then like what, 1 or 2 guys out of that whole gang land in the water. And then Balmuto just sort of goes like, hey, what are you doing? Or something. And then like, Balmuto doesn't even like what? Nothing happens to him. And it's just over. It's just over.
Also,
he's embarrassed because 2 of his pals fell in the water. And I guess he just walks away. And
no, because the 2 twins, they go over like, you ruined our luau. And they start, beating on him with the little bottom part of their fists like this. And then he grabs them and they all fall in the pool together. Well, and another
defeated.
And another thing I never noticed in the 235-1 aspect ratio revealed, Brad, of all people, pushes both of them up to him as if like, you go get hurt. Like you just see his back, but you just see him like, it's unmistakable. Like I know what Brad looks like. I can't remember the actors. I wrote it down. He Matt Latanzi, who was actually briefly, I don't know how briefly, but briefly married to Olivia Newton-John. Trivia. And I knew him from another 80s movie called My Tutor, where he was a guy, because he has no lines in this movie, but he's the lead guy in My Tutor, where he meets a sexy blonde woman who is older, who is, you know, hired to tutor him in something, and they end up like having a love affair with each other. But, and the thing that I remember most about him, even though he's strikingly handsome in a very, you know, like conventional, good-looking kind of, you know, Ken doll way young man. The thing I remember most about him that you don't get to hear in this movie is he had a very, very high-pitched voice. It almost sounded like this, you know, like. So you get to, I just remember those exchanges in My Tutor where she's just like, after this, the tutoring stopped. And he goes, all the tutoring? And I don't know. Anyway, I can't. Don't say anymore. Anyway, I can't unhear it, but but he's one of the prep tones, and he's Brad in like Blood Brad, you know.
Is that the one that like, and she was wearing his pin, like that guy?
I could just die. Yeah, that's him. And then later he's bum 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 Mr. Sandman. He's the guy.
And you see them in the beginning of Back to School, like they're like all the. One of the things I really love about this movie is it isn't just our core four kind of groups of people and some fun teachers. Like the ensemble and the supporting. Like we have first of all we have Eugene, then we have a girl Eugene.
Yes.
There's the Brad and the whatever tones.
Prep tones.
Yeah, and then there's also just what a fun mood to be in, because if you're just like one of the ensemble dancers, like you're in so many classroom scenes.
Yes, you are.
You probably get a line in reproduction.
Yeah.
You get great, like there's certain dancers that like once you see them in the beginning of Back to School, you're just like, oh, there you are, there you are, there you are. There
yeah,
you are. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. There's a really like healthy recurring supporting cast as opposed to just, you know, a different group of extras each day, and then you can tell they're just nobodies. Like there's some continuity to this movie.
And also a choreographer knows, like, once you've booked the dancers you want, you've booked the dancers you want. You're not going to want to like keep filing like new dancers. It's like, okay, let's rehearse this, and then let's rehearse this because it's all the same people who have learned all this different choreography. And because they're dancers, I mean, we went through it with Grease, you know, like we had our Moscow death drills that we did. Born to Hand Jive and Shaking at the High School Hop. And that's just two. Think about all the dance scenes in this. But okay. This might be a good place for this. Because there is a certain point in this movie where my love is intact, but it kind of moves from loving the movie and laughing with it to kind of, to my shame, laughing at it just a little bit. Now I have to tell you why, and I think you'll understand when I tell you why.
Okay.
Charades.
Oh my God, no, I'm with you on that. Holy the fuck.
Okay. Let's paint the picture. That's another thing I love about watching it in like the 2:35:1 aspect ratio, because that high school life that you're talking about, like all the extras and everything like that, they are all in that scene. Like it just walking around a lunchroom, just living, you know, high school life and everything like that. And there's shit going on in the background the whole time during that, while Michael's just kind of like navigating his way through and with his tray and whatever. And the song is almost entirely like in his head, but it is entirely done with reverb up to the max, to the point where you almost can't hear his voice.
Well, when it starts, it's too low, and the background noise is too, like, it's badly mixed. Yeah.
You won't know unless you buy this, and because you can't. Also, sad thing, I don't think you can get this on like iTunes or anything like that. Like you literally have to track it down. I've tried to, even on Instagram, I've tried tagging things with like any songs from this, and I can only ever find like a karaoke version.
It's on YouTube Music.
It's on YouTube Music. Okay, good. Good.
Yeah.
Angry at the digital age. Because these are good songs.
Well, I don't know if it's on the official YouTube Music app, but on YouTube, somebody has uploaded it because that's how I listen to it.
Yeah, on Instagram, the only track that is from the original soundtrack
Back to School
that you can get is Back to School with Four Tops.
Yeah.
But, yeah, right. That would have been great to see. Like if they could play like, I don't know, like some of the members of the faculty or some parents dropping off their kids. I don't know. But,
or just hear the source of the fucking song.
Exactly.
Bus drivers, I don't give a shit. Just somebody.
I know, like let them be anything. It would have been great. But yes.
Okay, well, we'll come back to your thing. But since we're talking about it, also, if they are going to be in it, they need to be playing students because it's sung from the point of view of you can't have a teacher. Well, I guess you could have a teacher, but it is boo-hoo, we're going back to school. It can't just be a bus driver or somebody. And then also he's hanging out and pretty baby walking down the street.
Down the street.
I said, hey, pretty baby, how's about a date? Set him up
I could see that look in her eyes was saying, follow me.
Yeah, like nope. Don't need to see an adult man played by 40 Tops singing about that. So we're good.
That's true. That's true. They should have just let like the T-Bones sing that song. I always wondered.
I'm gonna put a pin in Back to School, and then you go back to what you were saying.
Okay, so charades. Also, okay, the key. I remember just thinking, like, why are they who hated Maxwell Caulfield to give him like an entire falsetto? I mean, I'm wondering if they thought it would sound angelic, like a choral boy, just like, kind of like conceal me. But because then he does it again, and this is another moment that because I go from like life with A Girl for All Seasons, which gives me that should have been maybe the first clue that I was as gay as I am, that I was just sitting there going like, an Easter bunny and a maypole, and Sharon's a shamrock, like I fucking adore those costumes. I still want to wear every single one of them. But also wanted to, there's so much to talk about. Okay, because I want to ask you, springtime, I just went over what they are. Summer, we have a kind of firecrackery Uncle Sam thing. I guess Paulette is a summer bride with her giant wedding rings on her head.
Yeah, she's a June bride.
Oh, June bride. Okay. Yeah. And then we got like a catcher's mitt with the ball because, the summertime baseball
season starts.
Your guess is as good as mine, I guess. But or just so I just think like Sandlot, also like But and then in the fall we have Halloween Girl, who is a pumpkin, a witch, and a skeleton. Yeah. Which for the first time I realized she's all three of the masks from Season of the Witch, Halloween 3. Yeah, right?
That's good.
Isn't that cool?
That is.
And then we have that weird pilgrim lady with the horn of plenty on her head. Yeah. And then, of course, we've got the tree, the autumn tree.
With the magic flying star.
Yes, and with the sash that says September, Miss September, I think, on it. And then, of course, for winter, we have the George Washington body, in the coin for the President's Day, I'm guessing. The girl in the champagne glass, which is an interesting image.
January, New Year's.
New Year's. And then, of course, we got the Christmas tree for Stephanie Zanoni.
And that's my brain misfired. That's the magic flying star.
That's the magic flying star. So there's two trees. But
between two friends.
Between two friends. Two trees. What's two trees between two friends, really?
Two ferns. The fucking show.
Yes. Galifianakis. Okay. So Girl for All Seasons, huge, love it. Could never watch it enough. I was messaging with somebody on Instagram who saw that I was watching it. A bunch of people commented with their love, but somebody said, why haven't drag queens like recreated that? And I'm like, I'm sure they have. We just haven't seen it yet. It needs to happen like in a mainstream big way now that drag is as huge as it is. Like it needs to happen yesterday. But anyway, So that I'm all on board for, and I'm just as happy to see it today as I was when I was 8, 9, however old I was when I saw it the first time. Then we go into what you mentioned, the whole, Stephanie just basically kind of watched her friends kill a guy.
Okay. Let's do this. All right.
And she's crying at the sight, like, I'll never see him again and everything. And everybody's like trying to make excuses for like what's happened and everything.
Not even because, oh shit, we feel guilty, but guys, the talent show.
Yes. Come on, like we bowl. It's like we talent, like.
And I think it was Paulette who's like, I'm sure he'll show up.
Yes.
Like he must have survived and he'll just be at the show. And then when you get to it and she's still in a daze, to the degree that you realize, someone died and they're all carrying on like nothing fucking happened.
We won the whole talent show. It's not so bad. So what if the guy you had a huge thing for who you thought was your ideal man? So what if he's dead at the bottom of a ravine? We have like half of these long playing records. Who's Beethoven? But
not only that, but to me what's almost more shocking, because that is the moment after. What's more shocking to me is that she still goes to the fucking luau.
Okay.
And the fact that but they're on the water.
Yes.
And all of a sudden Johnny has the nerve to be like, hey, what's the matter with you? Like, what the fuck do you think is the matter? You fucking killed someone. Anyway, so yes.
Drove him to his death. Like almost literally, yeah. So Girls for All Seasons, love the number, but then we get to Stephanie's kind of breakdown.
Fuck yes.
And just the older I get, like I think I bought into the melodrama of it, like the same way
when you're a kid, when you're a child, and you saw it.
Yeah. When you're a kid, sometimes things just make sense.
I literally have the note like I bought into the melodrama as a child because I hadn't experienced, and I didn't know good melodrama yet. So I'm like, oh no, he's dead. It's like, like he's literally reaching for her, and I'm like, yes, they fucking love each other. This was the tragedy. Like, I'm 8.
But I love the fact that like they've already kind of like planted the seed in our heads also with just like, where'd he go? Biker heaven. And then what does she envision him in? Biker heaven,
which
on
is
a mountain.
Fucking pile of bikes.
Yes. Painted silver and white with like a smoke machine and like a drop.
He has a gold suit, but then later it's silver, and then like
yes, and with white also like intermingled, like very angelic, very, very. See, now this is what makes me really laugh. The aesthetic is very similar to that of Beauty School Dropout.
Yeah.
But it's a completely different scene because Beauty School Dropout knew what it was doing. Even casting
funny.
Yeah, even casting Frankie Avalon as the teen angel. They knew that everything. They know that. What makes me love the fact that it's increased too is the fact that it takes itself so damn seriously. This melodrama, starting with like her sinking to the floor and just kind of singing to herself, holding the star in her hand before she takes it off and holds it like this unnaturally and everything. And I even love, again, 235:1 aspect ratio. I can see that her friends are kind of flanking her. I could only ever see, I think maybe Rhonda's face just going, Stephanie, what's wrong with you? And now I can see that Sharon is standing beside her, and almost as if to try and save the number, she's still holding her arms up to show the leaves of the bottom leaves of the shamrock, almost like, are you enjoying the show? Look, I'm a shamrock. and then they back away, and Stephanie starts to sing the song and goes off into her delirium, I guess. And I guess everybody's just sitting there watching her. And because it's a musical, or because maybe the orchestra is just kind of like, hey, guys, this is good. Hey, let me try playing a little of, and you play a little of that. And maybe just improvising underneath Stephanie, like, very Glee. And then, but very Glee, because they're never even, kind of like considered as far as like part of, like what the storytelling, the people playing the instruments. But okay, so she sings in her mind. Wait, he's standing there. Yeah. Can
I tell you my version of what? Because you were imagining the band playing the instruments. Yeah. I just like the idea that we dissolve into her imagination, and that's when this song is playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's an imagination song, but then we come back to reality to find that she is singing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to imagine that everyone was just like, oh, we're just doing a brand new song. And everyone's just like, no band, a cappella. And just the whole audience just sort of goes with it. Not only do they go with it, they really like it because she wins. But I just wanted to be there when they're like, oh, we're not Girl with All Seasons anymore. Just new song. She's taking a solo.
I also wonder if Stephanie, because we already saw her do this with Cool Rider, when she sings, to Michael, like all of a sudden, it just kicks in. I wonder, maybe Stephanie's just like so cool. She's like equipped with her own kind of like ambient sound system, like any music she needs to play to justify her singing whatever song she's going to sing. I mean, it's a fucking musical. They all have.
Yeah, whatever. It's
so
fine.
yeah. So
I
whatever.
I just like the transition from imaginary song to actual real song.
Yeah, from anyway, like diegetic to non-diegetic.
Yes.
Yeah. But okay.
We go back to Michael.
Go back to Michael, and he's over Stephanie. Okay, because this is the best part for me. He's singing in the high voice again. And I'm just like, oh my God, he's a biker, and he's singing in a falsetto. And then, Stephanie, please don't cry. Oh, it all seems so unfair. Just when I found you, I lost you. And then there's an exchange that
that doesn't matter now.
No. But it goes into that. But then it gets cut, and it's on the soundtrack version, but it's not in the movie. He's like, it doesn't matter now. The only thing that matters now is that I love you. And she's like, but I don't even know your name. And she says it just like that. And he's like, all you need to know is that I love you, and you're the only one who can keep our love alive. So Stephanie, don't forget me. And he's English again. And she's like, I promise, but why are you English? And he starts singing again. Remember, I love you. You won't be far away. And I also love like this kind of rationale. Like Stephanie, this is her most Karen, where her chief concern is the love of my life is dead. What am I going to do now?
Hey,
and the
Eddie,
whole number.
Give her a break. He just died that fucking night.
No, the whole number is all about like, how am I going to live through this? Oh, you know what? I'll just close my eyes and bring back yesterday. And then reenacting the motorcycle
she gets on the bike. And she's got such a happy face. But I don't begrudge her because she's trying to recapture her joy. So I love her happy face.
I think it's selfish, but I think it's hilarious.
I think it's also the shoulders too. Like,
and she looks at him. She just kind of gives him a coy look. But then, of course, the turn back the hands of time. Whoa, turn back. Whoa, more shoulder acting.
But she's doing her own backup chorus. I fucking love it.
I also love this though. Okay. Again, VHS, we just see tiny screen, Michelle Pfeiffer's close-up, that's all we see. In 235-1, I can see Paulette has backed all the way to her arch, her summer arch, and she's the only one I can see, and she's standing there holding her bouquet, and she's got her costume on, and she's swaying to, oh, turn back, whoa, turn back. The hands of time. She sings it a while, and Paulette doesn't stop swaying until the pace starts to slopes. Turn back, and then she just kind of, she's done, and she just kind of stands there. And then Stephanie sinks to the floor and regrows or regains her star or whatever. Yeah. It is insanity of the highest regard. I feel like if there's any two things that might send this movie over the deep end, it might be too much for some people to handle. It could be moments like that. But the thing that people seem to actually complain about most is just like the overt sexuality or sexual nature of the content. Like,
okay,
that never bothered me. It never bothered me.
Yeah, because when you think about the songs, and I'm not going to defend them, Eddie. We're going to score tonight. Get it? It's like bowling, but it's about how we want to have sex.
Yeah.
And reproduction, because we start singing about plants, but it's about sex. Like,
yeah. Do it for our country.
Do it for our country. Like, yes, there are 3 horny songs in this show. And if you
Prowlin'.
4 horny songs in this movie.
And Rockahula Luau, that gets pretty.
But the whole movie, I mean, There are hornier movies than this.
There definitely
So
are.
that's fine. I think that the bigger, now I don't want to say sin, but the way the music is produced in this movie, we kind of touched upon this all, but it's this weird idea of, Cool Rider does a fade out, and then Charades starts as an internal monologue. So you go, oh, okay, but then after that, it becomes him singing.
Yeah.
But then it goes back to him in the hallway, and it's internal monologue again. And then he goes to the stage and starts singing to himself again. It's a fucking roller coaster of what exactly is happening here. And then, yeah, you're right with Turn Back the Hands of Time. We just have this weird inconsistency of we went from one song to this song. The music is very strangely produced at times.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I feel like everything we talk about could just lead to its own tangent. And I think the strangest one, which I'm going to go into now, I fucking love this song. Okay. But Johnny and the guys have yet another fight with Stephanie over whether or not they're broken up. They're fucking broken up.
Yes, they
are. And who is this mystery guy? And like, fuck you, Johnny, because once again, Johnny's being toying with Paulette's emotions like an asshole. So they all fuck off, and the guys are there. And he's like, hey, you know what I think we need is a little guaranteed. I can't do the whistle sound.
I can't either.
The setup sounds like we're going to go find some sluts.
Yeah.
Right? And then come on and tell us, Johnny, like, all right, we get in the thing and we go, and then we cut to them singing with the mics.
Yeah.
And we already heard Prowlin' once before. So it's a weird choice because Prowlin' is the song that they're singing for the talent show.
Yes.
But the beginning of that scene doesn't sound like, hey, let's go rehearse our song for the talent show. Yeah. It is, well, fuck these girls, let's go get laid. And even the lyrics like, hey, tell us, Johnny, like, let's go do the thing. They leave to then rehearse. And then you got to wonder, as they're singing this number, okay, so maybe that was just like a fun transition. Like the directors just no. Maybe the directors thought like then we'll cut to them, But this isn't really rehearsal. This is just them singing a song. It's gonna be their talent show song. But then the curtain lifts and they are at the school and they acknowledge we're gonna win for sure.
Yeah.
Which makes it no longer like a clueless decision.
Yeah.
But an actually thought out decision that's a bad decision.
It was a cover up. They had a different initial. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the things that we're complaining about are band-aids on, like something else that was excised or whatever. Because originally, Patricia Birch talked about it. They originally had an entire storyboarded kind of music video for Prowlin' where they actually went into a grocery store,
which would make so much sense. First of all, it's still lame because lyrically, I know the best place to get chicks. It's at the grocery store. It's so dumb.
I'm wondering if it's of its time in a way, though, because I mean, granted, it's 1961,
There's
but
a male butcher. She delivers all night and day. Like,
I mean, it's a loose connection, but I'm thinking about like Armistead Maupin's like Tales of the City and like one of the hot spots for singles to like meet up with people. And this was like 15 years later, like in 1975, 76. But they were, one of the hot spots was a supermarket where you could like, just kind of like, look at somebody's groceries and like start a conversation. It was like, very clubby. And I feel like maybe the roots of that started maybe around like the or around the Kennedy era, like the pre-assassination era, like I can't make any sense of it. The only thing I know is that they had an original concept to go into a grocery store and actually have like a number. They ran out of money. They had already recorded the song. Patricia had to make a call. She didn't want to cut it because she really, really liked it. So they decided, well, we still. Yeah, and we still have the school, like they had the set. You know, they literally, that was where they housed like their makeup. Like they used the classrooms for like dressing rooms, and they used, you know, like the locker rooms like for, you know, to go change in wardrobe and, you know, all that stuff. Everything you can imagine, all of production was set up inside of that high school for as long as they shot there. So they knew they had the location. Oh, they even watched dailies actually in that, on that very stage. They pulled down a screen and they would watch dailies.
That's cool.
Yeah, right. And
okay.
So yeah, they were very much in house, so they already had them. So it was all just practical. It had nothing to do with.
Starts because it was going to lead to them.
Yes.
Okay, that's a weird band-aid to. If anything, I would have just made it more of a fantasy. I mean, not had the curtain lift up and them actually acknowledge this is the song and I hope we win the contest.
But there's something so incredibly theatrical about it for me, kind of like, and I won't say seamless, but the way we drift from like the predicament of the T-Birds, how they kind of imagine themselves in what we perceive to be this, you know, cabaret, like kind of like, you know, imagination stage where they're all singing about what they want to get and these silhouettes that they're daydreaming about. And then it lifts to reveal that they're actually turning their angst into something that's going to win them those long playing records for the talent show. I don't know. I dig it. I dig it.
I wouldn't call it a stretch, but that's definitely an interesting take on it.
It's headcanon. It's headcanon.
Because to me, because my headcanon is, oh man, we're so defeated right now. What do? Let's go rehearse.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
Let's go rehearse our song about, you know, what's funny, because I remember I saw the movie when I was a kid and I didn't see it for a long time, but I heard it all the time. That in my brain, I forgot half of what took place during these songs. I presume they did go to a grocery store. Like my brain imagined Johnny and the gang going in and like there was a girl register and there was like a girl behind the counter, like, because that just made the most sense to me when you hear it.
Yeah. I mean, that's your headcanon.
Also, speaking of Prowlin, one little thing I love when they actually, because technically you hear them perform it once very badly.
Yeah.
Then you hear them do the full song.
Yeah.
And then you see them do it as a performance.
Yes.
I love that Johnny is swinging the mic, because that's not how microphones work, Johnny. I want someone on the internet to do the version of what here we go,
and then like oh my god, so do I now. That. Oh my god. Yeah.
Like it looks cool, but
no, but yeah.
I want everyone in the audience just to be like their heads tilted, like what?
Well, maybe, you know, like maybe auditoriums in 1961 were built more acoustically sound, you know, like to just kind of send your voice kind of like old, you know, like the old Vic or something like that. I don't know. But I don't mind it. It's showmanship for me. I like the fact that he's
yeah. I just
because that's another thing. Like this is a good place for this. With Adrian Smet, I was watching, I was just kind of like, I'm getting such a vibe from Johnny Nagarelli that I can't quite put my finger on. And the closest thing I could come up with was Mario Lopez's AC Slater. Just because you've got big, burly, muscly guy who is athletically, has an athletic prowess, shall we say, but not necessarily, you know, your token jock, because they're in gym class and they're running around like, you know, they seem to be more engaged in gym than like the other T-Birds of the first movie were, because, you know, like they're all interacting with Sid Caesar. Granted, they all push him into a hole, but but also just like the fact that like he's like this kind of like guy from like the wrong side of the tracks and everything like that, who also loves to dance and who's like musically inclined. I don't know. There was something like kind of like distinctly AC Slater about like Johnny Nagarelli for me this time.
And the hair has considerable volume in the back.
Exactly. I
don't know.
I mean, and that was just like, and it wasn't like oh my God, it's uncanny, but it was something that occurred to me. What was uncanny to me that actually kind of creeped me out a little bit While I was watching Christopher McDonald, and his kind of like, goofy Muppet face-isms and everything like that, his mannerisms, I started getting a very, very strong Matthew Lillard vibe. And that freaked me out because Christopher McDonald played Matthew Lillard's dad in SLC Punk.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden I was like, that casting was perfect. And I want to see them play father and son in something else yesterday. Like I want it now. Like I like want to, every now and then you get somebody playing parent and child and you're just kind of like, oh my God, it's perfect. And I just thought like, okay, those two are perfect, because I really got strong vibes of that. And also I think I realized my Louis D'Amucci crush, because the more I looked at him, I just started going over it in my head, just like, what is it about him? I'm just like, well, I just love the contours of his nose. I love how prominent it is. I love his beautiful full lips. I love his adorable, brown eyes and everything like that. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh my God, I'm getting Andy Samberg from this guy.
Oh, totally.
And you know how I feel about Andy Samberg, so
I do.
D'Amucci was my Andy Samberg before Andy Samberg, I guess.
Before I had learned D'Amucci's name, I would call him Josh Charles's brother.
That works too.
Come on.
I'm
just saying he looks like he's his older brother.
I could say more, but I won't.
Yeah, please don't.
No, I won't. Okay. Yes.
No. I was about to say I already went off for a few minutes about Stephanie and just her shoulders. So
right. Can I ask you a question?
Please do.
I mentioned it earlier. Okay. The scene where Tab Hunter, Mr. Stewart's in the office with Miss McGee, and she's just like, remember, Mr. Stewart, their bodies are more developed than their minds. And then two girl students walk through the door and say, they want to talk to Miss McGee, and they talk to, hi, Mr. Stewart, and they walk past him. And now I never saw them in the frame when I would watch the pan and scan version. So I always assumed one of them, when they walked in, pinched his butt. This is what my 8-year-old mind just put together. Okay. I thought one of them pinched his butt, and he was like, no, not in front of my the principal, kind of thing. And like, stay off. And I watched it this time, and they just walk in. They don't get anywhere near him.
They don't even interact with him.
No.
I actually did that on one of my 4 viewings this month, where I I had to rewind because I'm like, was there someone in that corner? I'm like, no, there's no, because he's trying to hide
a fart. Like, what is that moment?
Was there a cut? Was there someone on the other side of the camera that we were supposed to cut to? I don't know what's happening in that scene, Eddie. If that's what
okay. That's what I just wanted to know. I was wondering, like, a sound effect would have helped. Like, give us a, and then just. And then just have him really, really like subconsciously like.
Well, that would at least, because to me, the impression is the only logistical thing I could imagine, it doesn't work because it feels like one of those two girls he knows.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, get out of here. We're not right now. But they don't look, I don't know what he's doing. And
also it's Mr. Stewart, who seems really decent and doesn't seem like he'd have any kind of nefarious goings on with students or anything. So
Paulette, asks him very upfront if he keeps any kind of protection for sexual occasions.
Asians.
I could, Eddie, would it be okay with you if we make this a 2-parter?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's tell everybody, come back. There's just too much Grease 2 to talk about. So we'll do a part 2. So please come back for that. In the meantime, Eddie has a YouTube channel now.
I do.
You can find him on.
Yeah, you can watch me reacting to movies and shit, and I post kind of sporadically now, but yeah, look for it.
Yeah,
it's Edward is Truth, all one word. Just like my Instagram.
I highly recommend it.
Yay!
We can talk more about that later, but I just want to send people away now, and hopefully we'll see you back for part 2.